I'm John Buchanan. Now what we're going to do this week is to kind of go there with the feature introduced in Logic 12, which has perhaps divided opinion the most, which is the concept of the fact that the session players have been expanded, and they've been expanded in ways that are available to both the keyboard player and the bass player. We have new things there, and those things are things we're going to talk about at length. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the new things as quickly as I possibly can, and then we're going to talk about them. In case you're in any doubt and you can't be bothered to wait, I'm not happy. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to fire these up. We're going to find them in the session player. And we have got new additions for both the bass player and the keyboard player. Let's start with the bass player. So what I've now got, in addition to the kind of electric bass options, is a bunch of synth options, which are called pump bass, 808 bass, and sequenced bass. I'm going to choose the sequenced bass. Obviously, you can explore the others at your leisure if you want to, although if you still want to at the end of this video. Anyway, this is now a sequenced bass. What I get is a part which, like all of the session players, produces this kind of yellow overview waveform. And what that relates to is a bunch of sort of options that I have here, which are down at the bottom where I can configure the way that this bass line is going to work. As with all of the sort of session player stuff, I can choose the complexity of the pattern, the intensity of it, which I guess will ultimately sort of translate to velocity, would be my guess. And then what I can do is to choose a whole bunch of things. The note range over this pattern is going to work. I've got a little sort of slider here for choosing the difference between presumably how many kind of octave jumps there are within the pattern. And you can see that as I move that around, the kind of overview of this updates. Now, one thing that you'll notice, which is different to the way that we've had session player stuff work before, is that in addition to this sort of overview thing, remember that isn't a series of individual MIDI notes, it's a kind of representation of the pattern. You may be able to see, if I zoom in a little bit more, what we've also got is a kind of data line which is running through the middle of it, which suggests that there's some sort of MIDI controller data which is also having an effect on the way that this pattern plays. Sounds like this. Okay, so that's that. Then what we've got also is the idea that we can add a new keyboard player part. And again, in addition to the things that we had before, these kind of keyboard player patterns that were created for the piano, playing styles including the excellent word freely, broken chords, block chords, and arpeggiated, we now have a bunch of things that we can also bring to more electronic-based production. So again, staying in a kind of rhythmic place, let's go for the rhythmic chords option. And again, what I'm going to get now is a new session player part, this time for two hands, which are demonstrated here by these two hands. And I've got an opportunity to click on one of these, configure it, again, complexity, intensity, other things too. It sounds like this. And that's quite enough. Okay, so let's get to the sort of meat and potatoes of all of this. I think what's so interesting about making music with technology is that we have this extraordinary relationship with the people who build the technology upon which we are reliant. So I needed ASM to build this synthesizer if I want to use it. I can't do that. I can't build a synthesizer. It's not what I do. I like making music with synthesizers. I also like working with orchestras, but I don't want to have to build a violin for every member of the violin section before I'm ready to actually make a recording for string players. So there's this interesting relationship between the actual instruments themselves and what we then choose to do with them, how we write for them, what we choose for them. And I suppose in a sense, unless I were to build every single instrument for which I was going to make music, or at the other end of the axis, I was going to ask the technology upon which I was reliant to make all of my music for me, we all live somewhere on this axis. Okay, so I'm not making Logic every day. I'm not building it as a program in order to be able to make music with a computer. I'm relying on the fact that Apple have done that for us and they've created an environment into which we can then pour our creative souls. Now, everyone has a different line as far as how much they are willing to let someone else or something else intervene into the creative process for them. What do I mean by that? Well, I constantly browse, as I'm demonstrating Logic's features to you, through extensive lists of presets. I do that partly out of convenience because it allows me to get to the kind of nub of what it is that I'm going to showcase at any particular time. Do I know I'm using presets and therefore I'm borrowing someone else's sound design in order to get to a particular point? Absolutely I do. What do I do in my real life when it comes to writing music for television? Well, I take sounds that either I've made myself or I take preset starting points and I manipulate sounds until they feel like they're more like mine. I combine them in different ways. I process them, I sample them, I reverse them, I do all the things that all of us do. And I like to think that within that framework, I am therefore being creative. Now, here is a question. If I said to you, you want to make music today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you a piece of music, you can have it, it's yours, and at the end of the day it will be complete, will that feel like your piece of music to you? My guess would be that the answer is no. It won't, because you'll know in your soul that even though you're allowed to have credit for that piece, I'm not going to tell anyone I wrote it for you, it's yours to put out into the world, you'll know deep down that that hasn't nourished your creative soul, and nor should it. So we definitely have a line beyond which the idea of intervention into the creative process is crossed. Something suddenly feels like, you know what, the technology's gone too far, it's got involved too much in the process. And these developments to me feel like way beyond that line. And there are a couple of things I really don't like about this direction of travel. The first of those is that this is spectacularly uncool. There is nothing about these new developments that feels like I want it anywhere near the music that I make. This is a little bit like your dad dancing at your cousin's wedding. It's just got something really not great about it. Sorry, Dad, he won't be watching this video, it's fine. Don't tell him, shh. But it's just a kind of horrible distillation of a series of kind of EDM style tropes that have come out of the last 20 years of dance music that have been kind of analysed and appraised and regurgitated in the least interesting way imaginable. There's just nothing about this that I want to have be at the foundation of any dance music I ever make. That's the first thing to say. The second thing is, it is taking away the concept of creativity. It's crossing a line. It's giving us chords and rhythms and patterns. It's even giving us data so that the sounds evolve in ways that we're supposed to find attractive. It's too much intervention. Now, I'm very aware of the fact that there are plenty of Logic users all over the internet for whom this is so significant a development and so unattractive a development that actually they're considering even leaving Logic behind. Well, the session players have been around for a long time. I just ignore them, and I won't be going back to any of this technology in any subsequent videos. I needed to make this so that you know it's out there and so that you know my opinions about it. I will not be touching this technology ever again. But much more importantly, you have to decide how much you want creativity to mean something to you in terms of the music that you make. And I think that even though this isn't AI, Apple are selling it as kind of Apple Intelligence, their version of AI and the rebadging of those two letters and what they mean. It is worth having a broader conversation about AI and the intervention of sort of technology of that type in terms of your creative process. It is worth thinking about what it means to be creative and where your line is, beyond which you feel like you haven't done that. One of the things that I find really interesting is that I've always loved to make music, but only in the last 5 years have I had to really analyse what I think that even means. What does it mean to love to make music? Well, I think it means putting time aside to explore the creative process. Let's just call it that for a moment. And the creative process that I choose to indulge is music making as opposed to photography or movie making or any of the other things that I could creatively engage with. Well, I don't want to do things faster or in less time if I'm in a creative headspace. I want to get absolutely lost in them, which really means I don't want some bit of technology to grab me by the hand and drag me through that process much more quickly in order to get to a much less interesting result. I'd rather be doing all of the things that music making has always been about, which is exploring new sounds, making mistakes, appraising your own sense of musical aesthetic, and not having big chunks of creativity handed to you and offered up in ways that get you there much faster, but ultimately feel, at least to me, a whole lot more soulless. So I think we're at a really interesting moment in terms of music production. We are definitely going to be greeted with more and more and more tools that want to get us there quickly. And we have to decide exactly what we want our relationship with those things to be. And before anyone says, yeah, absolutely, that's where I am too. Yeah, that even means, are we going to be using presets? Are you going to be browsing through menus of sounds and choosing things that sound good? Is that beyond your line, or is it on this side of that line if you know you're going to take that sound, process it, do things to it which feel individualistic and feel like yours and that feel like creativity? That word is the important word. Now, last time I looked at the session players when they got updated, I didn't get involved in the comments on the video. I'm really interested to know what you think about this development, so please do comment below, but I definitely want it to be part of a community discussion. Stay kind to each other. I love the fact that we're like that on this channel. I'm very interested to hear people's views, but for me, this is a step too far. Have I made that clear?